Good afternoon, one and all. On behalf of Giottus, C Marketplace, and Hackstrap, it is my pleasure to welcome each and every one of you in today's discussion about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and other altcoins. Primarily focusing on how blockchain technology is, metamorphosizing today's financial world, and of course, impacting our lives. So we have all heard about the meteoric rise of Bitcoin over the past couple of years, less than a decade to be precise. In fact, I'm sure some, at least, if not most of you, have heard about the current, recently current value of Bitcoin, which rose to $43,000 US dollars in a matter of from less than $12,000 in a matter of 3 months, right? That's just $10,000 shy of the value of gold. I mean, that's got to say something about about a currency which people claim doesn't even have an intrinsic value to itself, right? So, but most of us don't know exactly how Bitcoin was first made using blockchain technology, and the same technology which is currently being used in banking, finance, data security, even defense in countries globally around the world, and various other sectors. But today's discussion, we will focus on the finance aspect of it. How exactly Bitcoin and other altcoins are, something that has recently revolutionized the finance industry. So I'll just quickly take 1 minute to introduce the panelists. So Vikram is an IIM Calcutta and BITS Pilani alumnus with proven ability in spearheading large companies and organizations like Amazon and ITC, right? We also have Arjun, who is the co-founder and the chief operating officer of Giottus Cryptocurrency. Now, Giottus is a cryptocurrency exchange which is one of India's leading digital assets trading platform focusing on crypto, right? So we would let, I would let both of them, engage us in a very, interesting discussion, which I'm pretty sure all of you are going to enjoy. And do when the Q&A session comes up, do feel free to ask any questions you want from Vikram and Arjun, right? Vikram, over to you.
Hey, thanks a lot. First of all, thanks to the HIT team. This has been a really exciting start for us with you guys. And this seems to be an amazing time to talk about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. So thanks for organizing this, first of all, guys. Now, see, we've been hearing about Bitcoin's meteoric rise. Every now and then there is a news article which says, hey, it's touched 30,000. Hey, it's touched 40,000. We notice that, a lot of people keep thinking that, okay, now should I enter now? Then you start thinking that, okay, maybe the price is too high. It's not going to go up above this. So let me wait for it to crash. Now, we have been through this cycle, me and Arjun personally, when we started trading in cryptocurrencies way in the beginning, we thought, I think it was in Indian terms, it was 80,000 or 1 lakh then, right? Compared to 26 to 30 lakhs of price of what it is now. We thought that price was high. We kept thinking for some time, should we enter or not? Then we read the white paper, how is their balance sheet been, what is their futuristic plans and everything. So how does things work here? How do you value things here? Why is this price rising like this? We have a lot of these analysts, starting from Citibank or JP Morgan saying that it could reach even more than $100,000 within a year even. Now, why do these guys say this? So we'll try to discuss all that. I think that would form the crux of this discussion on why this Bitcoin is even making some noise here. Yeah. Now, I think our intros are already done. Let me not spend too much of time here. Now, okay, maybe a bit about Giottus, guys. We are a digital assets trading exchange. Basically, you can buy and sell in Giottus. We offer 50 plus cryptocurrencies to trade with. We have a customer base of somewhere around 150,000 customers as of now. We started in 2017. That's when we got incorporated. We began our trading in March 2018. So that's how we started, guys. Now we've done close to $150 million worth of trade volume. Now we are one of the leading exchanges. We offer the highest number of pairs for you to trade in INR. So now that's quickly about Giottus. Maybe I'll talk about Giottus later. Let's get into the crux, guys. Here now, what is this cryptocurrency right now? Why is this making a lot of fuss? Now, if you notice in your, I'm just trying to compare between what happens in your traditional bank and what happens in the crypto space, right? So, what is the difference here? Now, in a traditional bank, when you send a money, suppose me as a sender sends some money to a receiver, suppose I'm sending money to Arjun, the bank that is there in between takes care of maintaining the ledger. See, as you can imagine, there is actually, when I'm doing a net banking transfer, there's no physical movement that is going to happen, but just a ledger entry which would say that, debit 100 rupees from Vikram and credit 100 rupees to Arjun. So this job of bank, which is maintaining ledger, what people thought is it is centralized and it is prone to a lot of issues. We have noticed a lot of banking systems that have failed because of manipulation by players inside the system, not just banking system, right? So even governments and everything, where there has been an insider who has been a bad actor because of that the system has failed. So the general idea of cryptocurrencies began when there is this anonymous person called Satoshi Nakamoto. When he started thinking that, okay, now how I can take this centralized process and make it decentralized, right? So now the process that I've explained below, right now how it works in a distributed ledger system. Now everything remains the same. There's a sender and there is a receiver. But in the center, instead of having a bank taking care of your ledger entries and everything, here the ledger is distributed uh, across the world. Like even you can run a node and start maintaining ledger. It is an open source ledger that can be maintained by anyone across the world. Now, the job of making entries into this ledger is handled by an entity called a miner. So, almost every process is same, just that the ledger maintenance and the entry into a ledger are done by different entities. And these entities are controlled by software protocols or algorithmic protocols. Now, so the difference here is there is no central institution that is controlling, but there is math that is controlling. An algorithm is controlling when a new ledger is getting added, how the check has to be done. Now, after the check is done, what is the incentive I'm going to give to the guy who has checked it? Now, banks get their incentive in form of getting a fee from you. Now, the guy who's entering the transactions into the ledger, the miner, he gets incentive from the system in the form of Bitcoin. So this system where a centralized entity is moved out of place and an algorithm is brought in to handle maintaining ledger, movement of funds and all that was brought in by cryptocurrency. Now, interestingly, this was not launched by any particular company or an organization or someone that we know, right? So, as you guys might have heard, it's someone called Satoshi Nakamoto. Either could be one person or a group of people who launched a white paper in 2009. So, from there, the story began, right? Now, why is it so important, guys? Now, to understand, why is such a currency needed? Why can't I just live with the banking system or the government issued currency? Why should we even think about a different currency? Does it even have a meaning, right? Now, historically, if you see, right, our currencies have had different forms. Now, it started with barter system wherein I give you pulses, you give me rice, and a trade is done, a transaction is done. Now then, people thought that okay, it is really tough to carry all these products from one place to other. Let's get something easy for us to carry. They thought that okay, now it started from seashells, stone beads, stones. Then came in the advent of coins when the kingdoms and everything came into being. Now, from that, we moved slowly into a gold-backed, a gold format wherein we were storing wealth in the form of gold. Then we realized that maybe we cannot carry gold from one place to another. Huge tons of gold, it's really tough to carry. Transportation issues are there. So how do we handle this? That's when we brought in the concept of paper money, right? IOUs as we call it. Now, paper money, now the credit cards evolution, now the NEFT, UPA transactions, what we're seeing. This is how money has evolved, right? So now, when money has evolved from one form to another, if you notice, there has been a need, right? When there was an introduction of a plastic card, or let's consider an internet banking system, the need was same. It was not possible to do every single transaction in the form of a cash. There were intercontinent transfers, or transfers where you have to send money to your relative quickly. All this was possible and enabled through internet banking, and internet banking also gave in a solution of a quicker settlement time, right? Banks can do a quicker settlement and they can move forward. Now we think that Bitcoin is going to be the future in this evolution. So the reason why we think it is going to be the future in this evolution of money, what is happening? Uh, uh, See, now for any product or any commodity or anything to be money, it has to follow certain principles, right? Now, let's consider if I'm taking gold as a medium of transaction that I can use. Gold is scarce. Suddenly tomorrow, you cannot wake up and find another 200,000 tons of gold that has come out from the earth, unless and until if Elon Musk succeeds in going to Mars and digging out more gold from Mars. The supply of gold is limited, and the addition of gold that we do year on year is somewhere around just 2,500 tons to 3,000 tons, compared to 190,000 tons, which is already that has been dug out. So it has to be scarce. It has to be durable, so that you can use it for a prolonged period of time. It's portable, right? You can easily move from one place to other. You cannot have a big rock as a stone, simply because it is not portable. It is verifiable. You can easily verify that I hold this, I'm the owner of this, and it's divisible. Usually I can split and give it to people. So there are certain characteristics a substance or a product or any solution should have for it to behave like a currency. Bitcoin fits this bill, right? It fits the bill of having all this. It is scarce, it is durable, it is portable, it's verifiable, divisible, it's fungible. So this particular product was built in with a feature of all this that a currency should be ideally having. Now let me dwell in more about now how what is Bitcoin, right? Now I spoke about scarcity is being built into Bitcoin. Now I think you guys, if you would have already done some little research here, uh, Bitcoin, there can ever be only 21 million Bitcoins that can ever be mined. There cannot be even one additional Bitcoin that can be mined after this 21 million Bitcoins has been supplied to the system. Now let me talk separately about mining, because it could get a bit technical if I talk about mining here. Now just like I was talking about gold being mined out of earth. Now if I'm going to get unlimited supply of gold that is going to keep coming, which is going to meet every form of demand that is going to be there in the earth, then gold is not supposed to be a really good scarce commodity. Now Bitcoin is even better in terms of scarcity compared to even gold, because after 21 million Bitcoins have been supplied to a system, you're not going to get any additional Bitcoin that will be gotten into a system. So only these 21 million have to get circulated among the users who are using Bitcoins for transactions. So Bitcoin is scarce. Just 21 million Bitcoins can ever be produced. The the uh, the ledger system, as I was talking, it's not maintained by any central entity. It is distributed. So in case if there is a government shock or anything, this particular commodity will not get affected. So now what do I mean by all this, right? See, for example, now I'll take recent happenings. What is happening due to the coronavirus package, what every government is releasing into the system. Now, US has given a relief of somewhere around 3.1 trillion dollars of relief, and they are adding it up with another 1.9. So now, what happens when all these reliefs or this liquidity that is being injected into the system, it finally starts getting into inflation, and it starts affecting your investment that you've made in the form of a dollar, or your any country's currency that you've made your investment into. So now ideally we are in a situation where we are starting to look at an investment or an asset where I can be safeguarded from the inflation that is going to happen. So this is one of the best qualities of Bitcoin, where it is anti-inflationary, because there is not going to be any additional new supply of Bitcoin that is going to get produced. So since the supply is limited, it will be anti-inflationary. This has been one of the major reasons for the recent price increases in cryptocurrencies, or Bitcoin in particular, guys. Now, with a lot of these release funds getting in, a lot of these institutional players wanted to start safeguarding their investments. That's when these institutional players started putting their money into crypto assets like Bitcoin. That's when the price of Bitcoin started moving. Now, when I talk about Bitcoin, right now, see, now I can talk more of the technical things about Bitcoin. You know how mining is done, a transfer is done. But I think ideally that's not how we'll approach this session, at least in particular. Uh, because if we see, right, when we want to know about internet, or when you want to explain someone about internet to them, you don't say that internet is a HTTPS protocol where this protocol is being used for this and that and everything. You don't go that technical, right? You actually explain them through the use cases, right? Internet is used to send email from one customer to other. That's it happens through a network. That's one of the use cases. You can explain internet through an Ola or an Uber app. So I'm booking through this app with the help of an internet which is getting connected in the backend. So similar to that, we'll view cryptocurrencies in the form of use cases that they're trying to solve, right? What is Bitcoin trying to solve here? Bitcoin is trying to be a crisis asset here. Now, what do I mean by that? Just like how I've explained here, explained some time back, when there's a lot of liquidity that the government induces, or when the government starts printing money haywire, what happens to your investment is the value of it will start going down. So there is a crisis that your investment will start facing. That's when these cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin, will come into being. You start buying them as a crisis asset to safeguard or hedge your investment against your traditional dollars or INR or whatever it can be. Now, Bitcoin as is such a product wherein it is a mix of a lot of things. Bitcoin is a network in itself, like it is like a Visa or a MasterCard in itself. It is an asset like a gold or a silver or any commodity. And it is also a database ledger. So all these three put together has formed this product. That is why when you try to understand about Bitcoin in particular, you might not be able to find a quick comparison of something that you're already using. So this is some special substance where it has got qualities of three different things, uh, where three different industries, it has merged into one product called Bitcoin. Like a network like Mastercard and Visa, it's a separate industry of payment processing systems. An asset class like a gold or a silver or an asset class, and a ledger system like a database system. So all these three industries have come together, or it has been put into a single product called Bitcoin. So that is the specialty about Bitcoin, guys. Now, why we should, again, the limitation of supply that the Bitcoin has, as I was talking, right? That is something really important to be seen there. Now, I've just taken a quote from Bill Muller. Why he states that, it is really, really important to consider cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, as an important asset class that you should have in your portfolios. Now, the supply of Bitcoin is limited. We are noticing a lot of people who are adopting Bitcoins, like they're wanting to hold at least little portion of their assets in Bitcoins. When your supply is limited and a lot of adoption is happening, ideally with increasing demand, what is going to happen is the value of this asset is going to increase. So that is one of the major reasons for anyone to consider Bitcoin as a form of investment, or as part of the portfolio they should be having. Now, in the recent times, what we have noticed is, from the beginning, there have been a lot of retail investors who have gotten into the cryptocurrency space. Individual people trying to buy cryptocurrencies who think that they have a future and all. But what happened lately? A lot of institutions, especially US institutions, have started coming into this space. Right? You could have heard about PayPal entering into this space where they're offering to all their users a solution to buy and sell cryptos from their platform. A publicly traded company like MicroStrategy has started having holdings in cryptocurrencies. We've seen banks like JP Morgan, Citibank, all these guys have started investing in building chains, and have also spoken really positive about cryptocurrencies future. So now with these institutions coming in, the adoption of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin in particular, has drastically increased. And not just the increase in adoption, right? This also gives the credibility that the Bitcoin had required for some point of time now. So now with these institutions are coming in, Bitcoin has actually started behaving like the crisis asset as it was envisioned by its founder. Now, so these are all few companies which have recently entered it. So I have not taken names who have been there for quite some time. Even Elon Musk has got really good opinions that he frequently keeps talking about cryptocurrencies. MicroStrategy is a publicly traded company. I think you guys would have heard about the MicroStrategy. They are one of the largest companies in BI space, business intelligence and big data space. Uh, now, even so now what as is happening, particular in Western countries, is even the family institutions, they have started. And it's not just these big players like PayPal or Square or your Grayscale Investments. They not just these guys. You're not just even hedge funds. Family institutions, smaller institutions, even they have started investing in cryptocurrencies to hedge their current portfolio. Now, my so our usual way of comparing Bitcoin in particular, right now, gold is something which increased in price in the recent time, just that you know, just because people wanted a safer asset to go invest, considering the current economic scenarios. Now, even if you see gold, right, with just a quick comparison of what happens with gold and and another product like Bitcoin, where the supply is limited. Now, most of the gold, guys, which was mined, right, was after 1950. Suddenly, there was a lot of demand for gold that started coming after 1950, and people were able to still mine a lot of gold out, right? Now, if your supply is able to meet the demand, right, not to a greater level, but at least to a level if it is going to meet the demand of the people, now that is going that's an elastic growth that is going to happen there, right? So compared to that, a product like Bitcoin, where the supply is limited, right, there's not going to be any supply after this. Now when you own an asset like this, that is when the appreciation of this asset is going to be exponential. So this is a quick comparison of people are have gone heavily into gold. They can also start looking into cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, as another form of investment they can start making into. Now, yes, the $10 trillion market capitalization of gold, Bitcoin is slowly coming there, 585 billion. Now, this value has been increasing drastically. I was saying right now, when me and Arjun started, the market cap of this was even less than half of whatever it is now. Not even half. It could be 30% of whatever it is now. There's been a steady growth of Bitcoin in particular that has been happening over the years. Now there could be there could be shocks that happen in short term, guys. Now recently, right now we are talking about it reached 43,000. Then there was a correction; it went to $30,000. Now it is somewhere around $33,000. So these short term corrections will keep happening in cryptocurrencies. But in long term, as we've seen right now, if I consider do a comparison with last year to this year, 2020 Jan to this Jan, Bitcoin has got at least 300% plus price increase. Right, the second best coin, Ethereum, has got somewhere around 800 plus increase in price increase. So over a longer period of time, crypto has been performing really well, and with the kind of adoption we are seeing, we're just expecting this price to increase in an extremely positive trend in a longer term. Now, yeah. So one of the things, right, like people ask, why is there sudden increase in prices? Part one, the reason for that is a lot of these institutions getting into play. They have started their adoption into cryptos. That was one of the major reasons to increase. The next major reason, right, is something called halving that happens in cryptocurrency. So let me just spend a minute or two in this. Now, in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin, any new Bitcoin that gets generated happens when I was explaining there's this entity called miner who will check your transactions and add it to the ledger. So when this miner does this, the system, the algorithm will generate new Bitcoins and it will give it to the miner as a reward. So now let's consider there were, like, for example, 18 million Bitcoins that have already been supplemented into the system. Now, once a miner confirms the transactions, another 50 or the current another 6.5 Bitcoins will be generated into the system. Now, what happens every 4 years? Let us consider the reward that we are going to that the system will give to the miner gets halved. The reward started with 50, then it got half to 25, then 12.5, then 6.5, 12.5, then it goes to 6.25. So this halving keeps happening every 4 years. Now, this halving incident had happened in May 2020. So what this means is the supply of Bitcoin. Now, every time when a miner mines, a new supply of Bitcoin gets into the system. This supply of Bitcoin got halved. Since the supply of Bitcoin got halved, there was another good effect of it in its prices. So this was another major increase, major reason for the increase in price of the Bitcoin, guys, because the supply of Bitcoin that was entering into the system got halved. This led to increase in prices, since there was a lot of adoption also happening in the system, more demand in the system with the lesser supply that came into the system. Now, this is again, our comparison with, Bitcoin and gold as form of investment. Bitcoin, there's a cap after 21 million, 2,140. All the 21 million Bitcoins would be supplied, would be mined. There'll be no additional Bitcoin that can ever be mined. So it's just that circulation is there into the ecosystem that can happen, right? The transaction between customers who already own, or anyone who's wanting to enter into the new system can have to buy from already someone who owns it, right? So when compared to that, gold, no, there could be supplies that could keep coming till you find a new source of mining gold mine. Now, gold, it's not easy to transport. Bitcoin is just like sending an email. It's low cost. Now, see, no, there are a lot of cryptocurrencies in particular, right, where the cost of sending these transactions is close to nothing. Uh, when you do even an international transfer, the cost that you're going to incur could be less than even 10 rupees or 5 rupees, or compared to the percentage level charges that you're going to pay when you do a transfer. Bitcoin transfer fee charges are still at a higher end, but with a lot of advancement in the technologies, this fee has been slowly, drastically decreasing in the fees. Going forward, with a lot of tech that is going to come into the system, this fee will also keep decreasing. Now, it's a decentralized asset compared to gold, which is not. It's durable. It can be easily interchanged for one another. So if someone is thinking of gold as an investment, right, what they'll be thinking, okay, at least gold could be used as an ornament, but what can I use Bitcoin as, right? Now, if you actually see, the ornament usage of gold is not much. Gold as just a storage, right? You buy gold and just store it. That's actually the major use of gold, as an investment. You think that a lot of people are going to value it, right? Similarly, you can also consider the same with Bitcoin. In future, with a lot of adoption happening, a lot of people are going to value this product more. So this is going to keep gaining in prices. Now, a few misconceptions, let me try to pick up here. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, people say that Bitcoin doesn't have any intrinsic value, right? Now, you'll have to understand, guys, like I had explained before, right? It clubs three industries with it. It's a network, like a Visa or MasterCard. It is a ledger in itself, like any database system, and it is also an asset value, right? Now, any particular substance, right? Why does even gold have a value? Because we think it has got a value. Group of people think that gold is valuable and it has got value. That's what that you know that's where the value of gold comes from. And tomorrow we all start thinking that, okay, now there's a lot of supply of gold, I don't think gold is a really good asset, the price of gold is going to crash. The intrinsic value of Bitcoin comes from its adoption, right? Comes from the adoption, and and the beliefs people will start having towards such an algorithm, which is capped, which doesn't have any issues of what a centralized system could have. Now, a lot of people again, right? The recent one, what they keep clubbing is, Bitcoin is bubble. Also, the Tesla stock prices are bubble, right? Now, I'm not going to talk much about Tesla, but Bitcoin, right? Now, what is ideally happening with Bitcoin is adoption, right? Now, every now and then, I think you guys would have noticed one form of institution or anything is entering into the space. A lot of these tech stalwarts are talking about why this coin will keep increasing in value. Now, for a longer period of time, right? Now, let's consider. Now, in 2014, 15, Bitcoin's prices were somewhere the range of $2,000 or $2,500. Right now, from where it has reached now to $30,000 or $40,000 in a longer period of time, in almost in about 6 to 7 years, the prices have just been appreciating. Though it has had a lot of shocks, right? Though Bitcoin has got heavy falls, it has always come back strongly. That is the one of the reasons people think that this is actually not a bubble where when there's a crash, when there's a full crash and the asset goes out of the market. That's not how it's happening here. There is an innovation that is happening in cryptocurrencies every now and that innovation is bringing in a lot of adoption into the system. Now, another thing, Bitcoin is for criminals. Now most of the people talk about it as being used for terrorist funding or money laundering activities and everything. But frankly, now till date, the highest or the currency which is being used the most for all this could be dollars, right? Now, uh, what people say is, but cryptocurrencies have these characteristic of being anonymous, right? But Bitcoin in particular is not anonymous, guys. Pseudo anonymous. If you want to track transactions of Bitcoin, you can track it. There have been a lot of cases where Bitcoin transactions have been tracked. Right now, most of the exchanges that operate from India in particular, right, or even worldwide, they all follow strict KYC norms similar to what is being followed by banks, right? We do the PAN verifications, your address proof verifications, and not just that, right? We also do something called transaction analysis. So, so this is basically tracking transactions in the blockchain space. Uh, so there is a good level of control and innovation that the crypto exchanges are already following, even though the regulation is not asking us to follow all these. Now, Bitcoin is too volatile. That is one of the reasons that people keep saying that, okay, how am I going to invest in this year? It's too volatile, right? Now, if you see over a longer period of time, Bitcoin has not been volatile. It has been a really good asset to invest in. Um, so this volatility question comes in a short-term period. Now, even we suggest when you are investing into Bitcoin in particular, do follow dollar discounting, invest in different periods of time. So at a longer period of time, you're in a profitable scenario. Now, I think due to time, let me just talk about regulations, guys. I think this is one last slide I'll take up now, and then I'll go to Q&A. The first, the question that I should have answered first, right? It is you can trade in cryptocurrencies in India. You can hold cryptocurrencies in India. What had happened in April 2018 is RBA had restricted people not to use their banks to trade in cryptocurrencies. But that particular order was quashed by the Supreme Court of India in 2020 March. So there is no reason to fear. You can easily register with an exchange like us or anyone, and you can start trading in cryptos. You can hold cryptos, and any profit you get from realizing any profit that you realize in cryptos, we usually suggest that show it as capital gains and pay your taxes on that. Now, worldwide, a lot of countries have taken a lot of good steps, or they're making good strides in the crypto regulatory space. Japan is one of the leaders in this space. It's almost a legal tender there. You can interchangeably use it with yen. US is still trying to make a lot of laws around cryptos, but they keep their SEC, their security, and even their OCC, as they call it, the comptroller of the currency. They have made a lot of positive strides in this space. Like the OCC has given go ahead for banks to start giving custodial services to their clients for cryptocurrencies per se. Australia, Singapore exchanges are all regulated. You can hold it. European Union has already started building regulation in this space. FAFT, the global watchdog for AML and money laundering, has actually been pushing governments to regulate this space. and not to leave it or even ban it. Now that's particular about regulations, guys. Now maybe I'll just show the platform once. Giottus, just a quick feel of the platform, or uh, Abhiyan, what do we do? Should we take questions after this?
Yeah, Vikram, if you are, if you're comfortable in, running anything else with the audience, you can. And in the next 5 minutes, we'll start with the Q&A. If you want to take anything further, you can just go ahead. Maybe even Arjun can, pitch in.
Arjun, you want to pitch?
Sure, Vikram. What do you want me to do?
You want to add something here, or should we start taking questions?
Start taking questions.
Yeah, I think that should
There's
be
already a question there. A couple of questions we have. So one is Kaushik. So Kaushik talks about since it is math that creates Bitcoin, then the supply across cryptocurrencies can be unlimited. See, actually, it's reverse, right? Bitcoin, it's kind of hard coded that this is going to be the maximum cap. Like for Bitcoin, the supply is going to be 21 million. So every currency, every cryptocurrency, they come up with their own caps and how the inflation control, right? Ethereum, they have like unlimited inflation. They are not keeping a maximum cap. They are saying 1 or 2% can be produced every year, right? The supply can keep on be increasing, right? There are some currencies like Ripple, which is coming as pre-mined. No more new currencies can be produced. There will be 100 billion in supply, the amount of Ripple that can be there, and these are all pre-mined. So some currencies, if they want, they can have unlimited. Some currencies, if they want, they can be limited. But whatever they are limited by the code that they use, right? So what determines the premium that one currency gets with other is something that we can see in precious metals, right? Why does gold command premium over silver, right? Physical qualities are almost same, right? The real world applications are almost nothing when it comes to silver or gold. 90-95% of the usage is primarily based on investment. So how do we compare? So it's all about belief. So Bitcoin has had the longest term, so it has been there for 10 years. It's properly decentralized, right? It also takes good qualities from the rest of the currencies and implements. There's something called SegWit, right? When Litecoin and uh, there was another DGB, they implemented SegWit. They thought this is something useful feature that has to be copied into Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has been growing slow and steady, and since it's not controlled by any one person, it has like fairly neutral and properly decentralized, right? When it comes to Ethereum is almost like a platform where you can create apps and run apps on that. So it's called decentralized apps. So it is almost like how do we compare a Facebook with an Apple, or an Apple with an let's say Microsoft, right? The applications are different. Why we value it, how we value it, it's going to be used. So all those things are basically the philosophy behind the valuations.
Arjun, can you also take up that that question what you've answered? Can you also even talk about that Bitcoin can be divisible by 8 digits?
Yeah. So also there was another question that was asked in the chat. How about like if there are only 21 million Bitcoins, how are we going to power the global transactions, right? So the thing about Bitcoin is it can be divided into 8 digits further, right? Ethereum can be divided into 18 digits, right? Every currency, they have their own number of significant digits, right? So if you talk about 8 digits, and the last digit is called a Satoshi, 0.00000001 Bitcoin is called a Satoshi. So instead of saying Bitcoin, if we start seeing everything in terms of Satoshis, you will see there is like a quadrillion or quintillion amount of coins that is there. I think there is more than enough to run the economy. And also people see that Bitcoin is very, very expensive, right? If you start changing the denomination, instead of 21 million, you see the supply in terms of Satoshis. One Satoshi is less than a paisa, right? So this is also a way to look at things.
Now, one thing to add here, right? When investing in cryptocurrencies, what usual mistake people do is they think that okay, now one Bitcoin is already 30 lakh rupees, right? Now I don't want to invest in Bitcoin. Let me go invest in another cheaper currency. Like for example, let me go invest in Ripple, right? The price is less; it's only 21 rupees. Let me go invest there. That's not the right way to do things, right? Now, silver could be cheaper than gold, but that's not how you should see the product, right? It's the percentage increase that's going to happen in each of this asset. That's what matters, right? And you can buy 0.0001 Bitcoin. The value of that is even going to increase in a percentage term, right?
Sure. And Nikhil's question is also pretty similar. So he talks about how Ethereum, Bitcoin has limited in applications, while Ethereum has much more application, right? But the reason Bitcoin is having a premium, being the market leader, is because of the first mover advantage, right? And being completely decentralized and limited supply. In your view, is there any other reason for institutional interest? See, the thing about internet is it's all about winner take all, right? When we talk about stable investment asset, we just talk about gold. We just talk about gold, right? Silver doesn't even feature in any of those discussions when we talk about it. So you primarily need one currency. You don't need more than a currency, right? So when you have there are other currencies, cryptocurrencies, which are competing against Bitcoin for this particular feature, being a currency of payment network. It can be Litecoin, Tezos, right? But there is also a Bitcoin Cash, which is almost like Bitcoin, just that the block size is higher, right? So how do we compare these two? Bitcoin, first thing is, had a head start and it's properly decentralized. These are the two things. The third thing is, in terms of community, in terms of nerds, right? They love this concept of having a proper neutral decentralized thing. Ethereum, it has a founder, right? It has Vitalik Buterin, who kind of guides how things should be moved. So there's always a founder risk. Sometimes if the founder goes rogue, what happens to the project, right? With respect to Bitcoin, it has it has no risk with respect to the founder. And and in this space, something that has survived for 10 years, the value is much, much, much higher, right? A lot of currencies that were there in 2014, they don't no longer exist. So Bitcoin is kind of seen as a pillar of cryptocurrencies. In fact, 60 to 65% of the market cap is just held by Bitcoin. Out of the 1 trillion overall market cap for cryptocurrencies, more than 60% is held just by Bitcoin. Right now, it's almost like Bitcoin or nothing. If Bitcoin succeeds, everything else will succeed. And also, being the first mover advantage, if there is another, let's say Ethereum, they're coming up with something called a proof of stake, right? Right now, whatever Vikram spoke about, this mining concept used by Bitcoin is heavily energy intensive. At some point of time, Ethereum is trying to work out with something called a proof of stake. If that works out, Bitcoin is just going to copy that and put it inside it. Just like how Facebook and Instagram, they copied the stories feature of Snapchat. Once you have the leadership established, like, you can just copy paste features. Bitcoin is not about any particular technology or something. It's overall philosophy. And in that, we see Bitcoin as a clear winner. And if I want to invest in something and close my eyes for like next 3 to 4 years, I will not go think beyond Bitcoin, right? Even Ethereum, I'm bullish in like next 1 or 2 years, because it's being a platform, but being a utility platform, right? There's also a question by Mayank. He asked about how is your view on Ethereum and altcoins. Ethereum as a platform, how it works is it's almost like a Google Play Store. You can create something like a decentralized Uber, right? Uber, what do? They connect a rider with a driver, right? You take that algorithm and put it on the blockchain. You remove that central entity. That algorithm in that blockchain, it is going to do the matching. So the 30% cut that Uber is taking, it's going to be distributed between the rider and the driver. So Ethereum can power these kind of decentralized applications. All the problem of this centralization that we are talking about in the last 5 years, or the problem of censorship, right? Or recent problem of WhatsApp being able to access all our data, these can be removed by using these kind of public cryptocurrencies. So Ethereum has created an infrastructure where creating these kind of applications is very, very easy. But to me, if I think about it, it is just a platform, right? You cannot have a premium for running an application in the platform. At some point of time, there will be another equivalent platform and people will move to a cheaper platform. But when it comes to currency, the higher the value, the more utility it has. So Ethereum, the price can rise for like next 1 or 2 years, 3 years. I'm not sure how it will work out in the long run, right? It will have the network effects and all those things. But in terms of premium that commands, I'm not sure. But Bitcoin, I'm extremely, extremely confident. So, and this is also like, when you invest in cryptocurrency, it's almost like investing in a stock market. When you start, the advice people give is invest in a large cap or invest in an index, right? Don't go look at the small caps if you don't have the experience. So investing in altcoins is similar to that. If you think you have the experience, if you think you can read the sentiments, the psychology, how a hype drives the price of a coin, right? Because a lot of altcoins is also vaporware, right? They are mostly concepts. These are almost, you are doing a seed fund or an angel fund, right? And the beauty of this is this funding option is open to the entire world, not just to an accredited investor or a VC, right? Bitcoin is a startup where people invest, but it has almost crossed 10 years. It's much more stable. Other coins are more like a startup that is coming up with an idea. They are doing a pitch and they are raising a seed or angel fund. If it works out, you are going to make 100x, 1000x. If it doesn't work out, like, and the typical thumb rule, right? 90% of the startups will fail. So similarly, 90% of the altcoins can fail. So if you have the risk appetite, you can go ahead and take it. So Jagrut talks about recent crash due to double spend issue. How do you see this limitation or technical glitch? See, actually, this particular thing, it is kind of what to say. It's a FUD, right? There is no truth behind this double spend issue that was reported in the last couple of days. So what particularly happens is, it's called a race condition. At any point of time, 10,000, 20,000 miners across the world, they are trying to find a block, because finding a block, they'll get paid 6.25 bitcoins. 6.25 bitcoin is approximately 1.5 crores. So everyone is trying at the same time. So at some point of time, it can be like two miners are finding the solution at the same time. So in such case, one of the blocks will get included, the other block will not get included. So this is what happened a couple of days back. Two miners found the block at the same time. So one of the block was dropped, and one particular transaction was there in both the blocks. And because of that, people called it a double spend issue. But this is something that has been built in. It's not a bug. It's almost like a feature, right? It ensures that there's no centralization and multiple people can compete. So also with respect to Bitcoin, there's a concept of confirmations. So what they say is, if you are making a payment in Bitcoin or receiving payment in Bitcoin, you have to wait for 1 or 2 confirmations. If you wait for 2 confirmations, you wait for 6 confirmation, the risk of double spend is almost zero.
Arjun, have you answered Mayank's question on the current scene? I see BAL has gone, BAL has.
So it's too volatile.
Volatility.
Okay, so Mayank is talking about BAL. BAL is the currency called Balancer. It has gone nuts in the last 24 hours and it's up by 20%. This is too volatile. Is BTC beyond such volatility now? See, we are in this at this moment. We are in the price discovery phase, right? We are trying to figure out what is the value. I mean, this has always happened, right? In 1990s, people saw the internet had a huge potential, right? They are crazily buying up all internet stocks, right? This is called the dot-com boom. Then people realize not all internet stocks are worthy. Some are valuable, some are not. Then the dot-com bust happened, and then you see the stocks that survive, like Amazon, Google, right? They are like enormous. But in hindsight, if you send me back to the 90s and ask me to invest in some company, what will I do? I'll go and invest in the tech companies, right? Because if you see, in 1990s, the biggest companies in the world, they were all energy companies, right? The Shell, British Petroleum, all those things. Right now, if you look at the top 10 in terms of market capitalization, all of them are somewhere related to tech and software, right? When people could see that there is a potential in some space, there's going to be a gold rush. People are going to enter and they're going to put money everywhere, right? They see, okay, Bitcoin is overvalued. Let me find next biggest stock. What is going to be the next Bitcoin? What is going to be the next Ethereum, right? In that chase, a lot of Me Too projects, they also get funded. This has happened in startup sector also, right? When Swiggy and Zomato, they raise funds, you had like another 10, 15 companies in the food tech. Right now, after Baiju, you have like 20, 30 companies in the edutech, right? So similarly, Balancer, you see, if you go to a website called coinmarketcap.com, you'll be able to see around 3,000 cryptocurrencies. You will be able to see how they are changing on a day-to-day basis, and it's very normal, right? If you look at Vikram is showing the screen, Chainlink has gone 17% in the last 24 hours. Binance has gone like 3.5% in the last 24 hours. So this is pretty normal, if you say, for a cryptocurrency market, because these are all startups, right? A slight 1 or 2 degree change in their overall growth is going to make their final valuation so different.
Just adding one thing here, guys. When gold would have been invented, it would have undergone the same price discovery process of what is happening now, right? So once this price discovery is done, quite a good amount of adoption has happened. Maybe then this much of price movement will not happen. There is this one really good video I was searching for when you guys were talking. It's a fun video. Maybe you guys can see it when you find time. We consider the same about Bitcoin. When gold was came into being, it would have gone into the same price discovery mode, similar to what Bitcoin.
This happened to the places around Delhi when the Gurgaon and Noida came up. Right, the prices go beyond the reach and then they reduce. And you'll see also places like Rewari and places outside the NCR. They also got similar appreciation, but then they see that NCR is not expanding there, so the prices come down. So cryptocurrencies are extremely volatile, right? But that is the attractive feature, right? Once the prices stabilize, once the market matures, people have a fair idea what it's actually worth, then we are not going to see this kind of changes. Right now, there's a lot of risk attached to this. Bitcoin might fail. So Vikram is talking about Bitcoin becoming a US dollar, Bitcoin becoming gold, Bitcoin replacing Visa, MasterCard. Maybe all of them can happen. Maybe some of them can happen. Maybe none of them can happen. But if it happens, the valuation that we are talking about is nothing, right? It can go 100x from here also, right? So what I see is this is like a probability. If actual worth of Bitcoin, when it uh, fulfills all three criteria, it's going to be like say $3 million. Now the probability is like 1% of it doing. So that is the reason the probability is the price is around 32,000, right? That's how I see it. Like most like a probability. The longer Bitcoin survives, the higher the price goes. The current price is nowhere related to what its actual value is. For me, Bitcoin is binary. Either it succeeds becoming $1 million or $10 million, or it becomes zero. So when you are investing, understand that this is the risk you are taking.
Yeah, so usually what we suggest is, limit to maybe 15 or 20% of your investment to cryptocurrencies. If you have more risk-taking appetite, you can go beyond that. But that 20% itself could give you the 10x or 20x return, or you're limited to that 20% of your investment when it goes down, if at all, if it goes.
So people say invest. Yeah, as Vikram said, like 5% of your net worth you can invest in cryptocurrencies and these kind of risky assets, right? If it lose, you still have the 95%. If this 5% become 10x or 100x, right? It is going to play a huge role in wealth creation. This is what Nicholas Taleb and a lot of people also talk about. Asymmetric risks you have to take time to time, right? And Jyotirmay Bose talks about how Bitcoin is hogging most of the attention compared to all cryptocurrencies. See, before 2009, nothing like this existed, right? When you talk about cryptocurrency, when you talk about blockchain, right? They all came from one single paper, right? This paper is available online. It's even hosted in our website. It is just 7 pages. I ask you to please read that white paper, right? So it talks about decentralization. It talks about how to do certain things, like how do you eliminate third parties and how do you bring the innovation in open source into the financial world. Just think about it, right? The kind of innovation Linux has brought into the world, right? 10 years back, I used to buy, we have to spend like 8,000 rupees, 7,000 rupees for an operating system. Even now, it's almost that cost. But we are having smartphones for 3,000 rupees because Android is open source. All the supercomputers, they run on open source Linux systems. Most of our projects, we do use Wikipedia. If we can bring this open source into the financial world, right, what can happen, right? So this is something that we are talking about. So and everything else is like copy of a copy of a copy, right? They are using the same concept as Bitcoin and they are trying to build other applications. So when it comes to that, if you see about real world adoption, most of them are still in the idea stage, right? Or just in the, what to say, prototype stage. If you there are these stable coins that work. Stable coin is basically a cryptocurrency that's linked to the price of dollar. People use that for trading and a lot of transactions. Then there are cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, which is providing a platform. But within that platform, you don't see a lot of adoption. Basically, we can say that we are in the 1990s or 1995 of internet. A lot of things is going to happen in future. So right now, the stable and easy bet is to bet on something that has worked, right? It's only because Bitcoin has worked, we see a lot of people creating these kind of technologies. If Bitcoin fails, the whole idea fails, and the other cryptocurrencies also vanish. That is how people are looking at it. And the second part is,
Thank you. Yeah, Arjun.
the second part is most of the cryptocurrencies are traded in international cryptocurrency exchanges as a Bitcoin pair, right? You will see ETH/BTC. They are not traded in dollar denomination or INR denomination. They are all denominated in Bitcoin terms, right? So when the price of Bitcoin reduces, you see all those cryptocurrencies crash. Like the cryptocurrencies are heavily correlated with the price of Bitcoin, right? If you see last 2 years, the kind of price every other altcoin has increased. The only reason they have increased is because Bitcoin price has increased. So Bitcoin is leading the story, right? How things work. It's just like how electric cars are driven by the story of Elon Musk and Tesla, right? Though things are changing, you see Europe taking a lead, but when we think of electric car, we think of Tesla. So that is how Bitcoin is. It kind of occupies everyone's mind. And when you talk about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency, right? When you're talking something bad against a cryptocurrency, you're talking about Bitcoin. When you're talking something good against a cryptocurrency, you're talking about Bitcoin, right? So that takes off all our mind space.
Yeah, just intervening here quickly, guys. Considering time, if you're looking into starting off with cryptos, you can check out our website even. It's www.giottus.com. Let me just quickly take you to the website. You can go hit on register here, and you can start registering. It will take hardly 5 minutes, Prosga. Usually you should be having, okay, sorry, I seem to be signed in. Let me go out. Okay, now you can hit on register and you can start registering. So when you register, in the referral code section, you guys can enter HIT MEET, MEET. Okay, so we are trying to give rupees 250 for anyone who registers through this meet, so that you can purchase your first cryptos. So that's something special coming from our side for the groups, guys. Yeah.
Thank you, Vikram. I'm also putting up the YouTube link which Vikram talked about in the comment section in the chat, guys. Everybody, please, I mean, if you're interested, which I'm sure I am, save it up and have a look through it once the session is over. I see we have one more question. I think I had a personal question, but due to brevity of time, I'll just let it, I'll ask you personally, Vikram, later on. Focusing on Sudarshan's question, are there any paper studies, spreads, ratios between different cryptos?
See, of course, there are a lot of studies, right? So everywhere people are trying to see how do you actually value it, because there's no actual fundamentals. They are trying to find out with proxies, right? So for Bitcoin, there's something called a stock to flow ratio to find how the Bitcoin price is increasing. In terms of, there is also like this coin market cap is good enough to understand how the pricing works, what is the total supply of coins, right?
Just intervene something. To first know about coins, right, you can also go to our website and go to this particular page. It's giottus.com/coins. For each and every coin that we have listed, we have given details about the coin, the white paper of the coin and all. So your first basic research can start from here.
And regarding Mayang's question, we charge 0.25% for buy and 0.15% for sell. So it's 25 basis points for a buy and 15 basis points for a sell transaction. That's our fees.
Also get a detail from our fee page if you're interested.
Yeah, thank you so much, Arjun, Vikram, for such an engaging and enlightening session.
No maintenance.
Personally, thank you. Personally, I'm a very skeptical person when it comes to investments, because I personally, go for low risk, low reward kind of a thing. Given the market volatility that happened last year, it reaffirmed my belief in the same policy. But however, based on the facts highlighted by both of you in today's discussion, and also, there are, major entities like PwC and Bain. I think, Vikram, you highlighted that, Bain's report and all, which are, specifically talking about the intrinsic value of cryptocurrencies and the meteoric rise of all the cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin. I'm really tempted to take a calculated risk myself investing, given the fact that the fun is just beginning, so as to speak, right, metaphorically. Yeah, Arjun smile can attest to that. I mean, I'm pretty sure you have made a good amount of money in this entire Bitcoin surge in the last 3 months. So in fact, I was just speaking to my brother an hour back, right, and we were discussing the future about cryptocurrency, and he mentioned a very interesting point that you can make 10 times the amount in a daily trade of crypto than you can make in a week's worth in stock market. Now, at that point of time, I laughed it off. I mean, because I have very less experience in crypto, but based on today's discussion, I can definitely say that, Nikhil, you're here in the call, so you are right. I mean, they have kind of proven your point, right? So people who are too skeptical to invest in new ideas generally don't go for it. So I'm pretty sure among our attendee pool also there are multiple people who are thinking the same way, right? Bitcoin just rose by 3 months, and suddenly it might drop. So I would say that read up a bit more. Vikram had shared that YouTube link, go through it, reach out to both of them. They're experts on this matter. Whether you want to trade right now directly, or whether you want to gather a bit more of information and then start trading, they are paragons in this field. So do feel free to reach out to them, or also reach out to us in case you want to get connected to them, or stay connected, right? So personally, I would take the risk as of now. So with that, we are concluding today's session, right? Thank you, Vikram. Thank you, Arjun, for the dedicated and passionate discussion that we had today. More importantly, I would like to thank all the participants, because I think of all the hits meet that we have held so far, this is the first time we have had the maximum number of questions. I mean, in fact, we had to extend the session by 5 more minutes. Given that in the engagement that happened between the participants and the panelists. So do invest. In case you do want to know more, reach out to them, reach out to us, and do stay connected, because we will conduct another session on how blockchain technology, like the one which has brought Bitcoin to the forefront, how blockchain technology is transforming the lives of millions of people around the world, not only in finance but in various other sectors as well. Right? For every entrepreneur out here who I can see, who has participated, it's going to impact all of your businesses as well. So do stay connected, do stay in touch, and wish you all a very happy weekend. And until next time, take care and all the best.
Yeah.
Thanks
for the opportunity here, Vikian. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for
That's
participating.
our mobile number, direct mobile numbers that I've displayed on the screen. You guys can reach out to me directly.
Right. Kindly note that, guys, in the we'll share the same in the chat as well, and to everybody who has participated, you can reach out to them directly through their mobile number as well as their website. Right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Wonderful.
Pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.